Welcome. My name is Debbie and this is Pouring My Art Out for the Lord. And we're continuing to work in our Canadian Wildlife Journal. We've put lots of pockets and tags and all kinds of ephemera in here already. And we're going to put more in. So I have a printable, need some shaker cards. I have a printable for you today, which is a combination of a whole bunch of little bits and pieces. And you can definitely use this for whatever you would like in this journal. However, I have a little project for you. So I was watching Yvonne Preston, and she has some fabulous tutorials. If you've never checked her out, go check her out. But she has this tutorial on, I'll see if I can find it and link it below. I can't even actually remember what she called it, but it's really simple. It's just basically and I did adapt it a little bit for my use, but it's just basically a little flip piece of coffee dyed paper. You fold it up and you fold it down. That's pretty much the gist of it. I put a tag in here in a pocket to hold it closed, to make a closure. She didn't have hers like that, but I've used that several times as a closure, and I really like that way of doing a closure. And then there's a pocket here and a pocket here, and you can just put whatever in there. So that's what all these bits and pieces are going to go into. So the first thing that I'm going to do is get a piece of coffee dyed paper. This is just a piece of coffee dyed paper, and I did some, I actually had printed on some paper using my laser printer. This doesn't work with inkjet printers. And just in black, it's not a colored printer. And then I coffee dyed over top of it. The laser jet printer works because the ink is water proof, I guess. I was going to say water resistant, but I think it's pretty much waterproof. If you do this with inkjet, it'll just be a smeary mess, but you can get the same effect with an inkjet by coffee dyeing your paper first and then printing over it. It sometimes doesn't work quite as well just because the printer doesn't always like coffee dyed paper if it's too ripply or whatever, but either way, and I mean, you don't need the printing, you can just do it this way as well. So then what I did, she just kind of did rough measurements, so I just kind of did my own. I did about 4.5 inches folded up, so I'll just do the same here. My ruler. So about 4.5 inches up. Actually, I'm going to do 4 3/4 because it was kind of halfway. So 4 3/4 of an inch, and you can just kind of, you can do this on your scoring board too, but so I just made a score there. I'm going to put the writing part to the front here. So there's the bottom part of our flip. And then to get a long enough piece to fold it over, I want to glue something to the back of here. So I'm just going to glue a little bit on there, and then I'm going to glue, so on the top there and on the top of the extension piece. And then when I put this down on there, there will be 2 spots of glue, this one and this one, because it'll overlap like this, so that it'll be glued down at this point and it'll be glued down at that point. So I'm just going to line this up so that I get it fairly straight. And I'm going to overlap it about 1/2 inch here. So, and mine did not get completely straight, but that's okay. We can trim it off, or we can call it a junk journal. Either one. And then I ended up making mine about 7 inches tall. So again, I can put it on my cutting mat here, or my mat here. And I'll put my ruler at 7 inches. up, 7 inches, and then that can fold down. And then you can decide where you want to cut this off. And let's see what I do on mine. You don't have to do it these exact measurements. I made it up the first time, so I'm just making it up again. So about 3.5 inches from this fold to where I cut it off. So I'm going to put the fold in on a line here, and 1, 2, 3.5, and tear that off. That's just extra, and there's our flap. So I'm just going to go through those measurements again, just in case you wanted to see them again. You just take a half of a piece. Well, you take a 8.5 by 11, fold it in half lengthwise, and tear it or cut it in half. And then you take half of it and you fold up the bottom 4 3/4 inches. So you fold that up, and then you turn it over. Then you put a piece or a line of glue at the very top of this, and then you take your extension and you put a bead of glue right at the top of there, overlap them about 1/2 inch and glue them on. Okay, so then this is 4 3/4. This middle part is 4 3/4, 7 3.5. And it doesn't have to be exact, like I said, it doesn't have to be exact. And then I'm going to take a page from my Canadian Wildlife kit. If you have scraps left over from using the kit or whatever paper you're using for this project. So this ends up being about 4 1/8 wide. So I'm going to cut this down. I'm going to use this for my pockets. I'm going to cut this strip down to maybe just a little bit under 4 inches. And then I'm going to cut 2 pockets. And on this one, I cut this one at 2.5 and this one at 3.5. Again, they don't have to be the same as mine. So 3.5 and 2.5. It could be 2 different patterns. You could use some more coffee dyed paper, whatever you would like. Then I'm going to just put these so that they're both facing up. If there is a direction, I want this at the top for both of them. And I'm just going to turn it over, make a mark in the center with a pencil. So that'll be about 2 inches, and then line them up at the top and punch a thumb hole. I'm going to punch both at once, and then they'll be even like that. And then I want to ink on my pocket all the way around. This is just a really cool piece of ephemera. I love this piece. I'm definitely going to make this again. Okay, so then the shorter pocket goes on the front. So I'm going to just glue that on 3 sides on the front. And this one has to be, doesn't have to be exactly 2.5 inches tall, but it has to be shorter than what this flap is. It needs to be under that flap. Because if you're using my little trick here for closing it, if this flap is lower than the pocket, you can't put your tag in to close it. So if you don't want to do it that way, and Yvonne did not do hers that way. I'm not sure, I don't think she even had a closure on hers. She glued something to the flap here, and then I don't know if I don't think she had a closer. I think it was just the weight of that. But anyways, I like to do it that way. So there's that pocket, and then inside, just gonna ink this fold here. It's easier for you and I to see it then. And I'm going to glue this pocket on. So just kind of center that from side to side. I deliberately didn't make it as wide as the piece. You could. I just like sometimes a little bit of a border around it. So there's our second piece. So basically that is our piece. So I'm going to just pause the video. I'm going to cut all these pieces out and I'm going to ink around what needs to be inked around, which is probably everything. And I'm also going to ink around this, and then I'll be back and show you how I put it all together. All right, so I have my pieces cut out and inked and thawed out a little bit here. I did go ahead and put a bit of lace on a couple of places here, just because the lace takes a little bit to dry and stick there. So I have a little scrap of this paper left from the pocket, so I just put that there and glued a little piece of lace on there. And I'm going to glue this wolf picture over top. I really like how these turned out. This one says, "The wolf shall dwell with the lamb." I did layers and layers and layers of grunge and stuff like that, and really played with this a lot. And it was fun. So I made a few extra ones, so I think I'm going to end up putting those into the final kit, the final add-on kit that I will put in my coffee shop when this is done. It will have all the freebies that we had during this time and a few little surprises. So, and that will be one of them. I made, I don't know, about 10 of them. They were just so much fun to make. So there's that one. And then here I thought I would put this label, but it looks a little lonely just by itself. So I just tore a little piece of that paper that was left over from here. And in fact, you could kind of ruffle that up a little bit. It would probably look, now that I got it half glued on, just rough it up with your scissors a little bit, kind of bend it up a little bit. I think that would look better, gives a little dimension. Dimension is always good. So I'll glue that on, and then I'll just kind of bend it up a little bit and fold it up a little bit here. This time in our Junk Journal 101 series, we've learned the basics, so we're learning some extra things now. So I just want to give you a few little different tips and stuff to make things look, you know, a little more dimensional, a little more interesting. That's where the fun really starts with your junk journals. Okay, so there is our front. And then I had trouble, I was thinking about all these pieces here, and I put them, you can put them so many different ways. Here's the little tag that holds the whole folio envelope thingy closed. The tag will go in there. So this is just kind of the base, so we could put this on. Just the circle with, "And God said, let the earth bring forth living creatures according to their kinds, livestock and creeping things, and beasts of the earth according to their kinds. And it was so." And that's from Genesis 1:24. So I could put that there, I could put this there, I could put this there. I glued a little piece of lace to that one. So many different things. I think what I ended up is, I think I'm going to put this on here. I don't know if I need just a little piece of, just a little bit more layering on this one. Yeah, I think I like that better. I'm just going to stick this off of the tag a little bit. Actually, I think I'm going to stick it off this way. Yeah. looks good. So because this is going to stick off on the other side, I'm just going to ink just that edge a little bit. I didn't ink this little scrap here. So glue that on. This would be good to kind of ruffle up a little bit too. This is gonna fit on here. Yeah, something like that. So I'm just gonna kind of ruffle that up a little bit. And then this is going to be glued on here. And hanging off the edge a little bit. It's another thing that makes things a little bit more interesting is if you don't put everything on just completely straight. You have things kind of hanging off or at an angle, or something straight and some things kind of hanging off at an angle. This could almost need a little bit of a, it has that little label, something here like a little button or something. I might do something there still, and there's the back. Oh, these tags too, the two tags I backed onto some cardstock just for a little more stability. And then I just want to punch a hole in this. I'm just going to do it with my Crop-It-Out because it's a little bit smaller circle, and then I don't take all of that gold rim off. This one is just a little bit bigger. So I have these two little pieces of ribbon and twine on my desk here, and I thought I would just show you another way that you can put a tag topper on. So I'm just going to feed this ribbon part through and just kind of hold it at the top. I'm just going to grab one of my handy dandy clips here just to hold that in place. And then I'm just going to tie a knot with this twine around the ribbon. So this is a nice way to do it when your ribbon is a little bit thicker and you don't want to, this ribbon is pretty thin, but if your ribbon is a little bit thicker and you don't want to tie it in a knot because it does create quite a bit of bulk. I'm just going to snip off the edges of those. And just another little way of doing the top. So there's our tag to close our little folio pocket, envelope, whatever. So we'll just put it like that. I like to kind of tilt it a little bit so you can see that there is some writing there. So I think that already looks quite good. And then inside, again, you could put these elements in many different ways. I think I'm just going to do these two. I was going to do something else, but I think I'll just use these two. So there's lots of different elements to play with. If you want, you can print it out twice and make two different ones. You know, they can look quite different if you just put the elements in different places. And you know, when you could use some lace on, when you could, you know, do something else, some crumpled paper or whatever. This element and this element had jagged edges on the printable, so I just ripped that. You don't have to rip it exactly following the line of the digital. Just, you know, roughly rip it and then ink the edge, and that looks, I don't know, I want that to be maybe like that, and that makes it, yeah, just look another little bit of texture there. So there's that. I just glued a tiny little piece of lace at the bottom of there just to add another little piece of lace. So I have that. And then my inside tag, I glued another piece of lace on the edge of that. I'm going to use this deer. Here's another one of those cards. As a deer pants for flowing streams, so pants my soul for you, O God. Psalm 42:1. I apologize if your eyes are not good. This writing is pretty small, but I wanted to kind of fit it on these little cards. So I think I'm going to do that. And then I have this all creatures great and small, the Lord God made them all. So I thought I would put that somewhere. I could just kind of stick it there. I could stick it there. That would look good. I think I'll put it at an angle though. So I'm just going to glue this on. These cards, you could also rip the edges of these and kind of distress them a little bit. That would look good too. And I'm just going to offset this. I'm not going to center it right in here. I'm going to offset it again. I like how that looks. You don't have to do it that way. And I think I'm just going to do this like here. And this tag, when I cut this out, I cut it out using, there was little jagged edges there, but they were really fine, and I have this scissor, so I just cut the edges with the scissor. So if you have something like that, you can use that. Otherwise, you don't have to. Okay, and then I'm going to punch another hole in here. This is a larger hole. Probably didn't need to make this part so big on this tag, but and then I'm going to put this out and around and just pinch that on with my clip and grab a piece of twine again. Tie this in a bow if you like. I tend not to use a lot of bows. I'm not sure why. I like them, but okay. And then you can cut this. You can leave it like that. Mine are kind of wonky. They're from being wrapped on the card. They're kind of bent at the edge there. So I'm just going to trim mine off like that. There's our big tag. That's going to live in here. So put a big tag in there. Flip this. I did that on my other one too. It's going to get a little bent, but that's okay. That gets flipped down, and here's our tag to go on top to close it up. So I think that looks really cool. So you can use this as what we call a floating pocket, which means that you can take a paper clip or something else and just clip it on. And then it's in your journal, but you can also remove it and, you know, write on it and do whatever. It's maybe a little bit easier to, you know, if you're going to be writing here and here, to take this completely off and write it on. Or you can glue it right onto your page, I think. Because actually, if you do that, you don't even really need the closure here, but I think I'm going to paper clip it for now. I may end up gluing it in later. But yeah, there we go. And I had made this one before. I didn't have the digital made then, but so I used one of the tags that we had last week or the week before. And then I just stuck a library card, an extra library card in there, so you can do that. I didn't decorate these guys yet, but I can also use this one in my journal. So I might just glue that in there. And then I can decorate a little bit here later. You can also glue this on 3 sides at the back, and then you can tuck something in there. I think I'll do that. I don't know if I'll tuck anything in. I'm starting to get a little bit of chubbiness in this journal, so at some point you have to decide how many enclosures you're actually going to put in here. But I will glue that in for now. This is the one I think we made a couple weeks ago. That one's quite bulky, so actually, I think I'll just take that stuff out, and then I'll press this on a little bit, and then that'll just open like that and like that, and close like this. So very neat. So go ahead and make that project, or use the printable for something else if you like, and you know, do it a couple of times if you want, and do it different ways just to have fun and experiment. And you could even use this in another journal, you know, completely different journal with some blue colors or something to make it coordinate. But yeah, so thank you so much for watching again today, and go grab your freebie with all of the elements there, and I'll see you next week for another session. So blessings, see you soon.